Hello everyone, welcome to CareerDeed Training Solutions. This is Janani, and in this session we'll be dealing with one of the important verbal concepts, parajumbles. This is not just an important concept but also an interesting concept to handle with. So, what is a parajumble? It is just like any other verbal aptitude question where you get a set of statements either as a sentence or as a paragraph being jumbled, and your task is to arrange those in a logical way. Now, these jumbled ones can either be a statement or a paragraph. In the first case, a sentence, that is a statement, can be split into divisions and your task is to arrange that. Or in the second case, that is if it's going to be a paragraph, you might come across some sentences that are jumbled up, and in this case as well, you're going to arrange those in a sequential way. Generally, parajumbles are of two types. One is anchor and moving. Let's assume that you have an you have a parajumble where a paragraph is split into 6 sentences. In your anchor parajumble, your first and your sixth one are fixed. That is, you are going to arrange only the intermediate 4 sentences. Whereas in case of your moving parajumbles, all the 6 will be jumbled and we are going to arrange that. Now here we go with the tips to solve parajumbles. The first and the foremost thing that you have to do is to get an idea, that is to get the main concept of the question, that is the arrangements. So you will get an idea of how to arrange those statements. Those statements will be usually named as A, B, C and D. So you will get an idea of how to arrange those statements in a logical way. The second thing is that you have to see, we have a few approaches in arranging the statements. Find which of those approaches would fit for this particular question. Then comes your third one, which is to find hints in the statements. See, in your parajumble, every statement in the question will have certain keywords to help you find the answer. So find what those keywords are in the statement. Then comes your pair the statements. See, once you found the keywords, start checking if you can pair the statement with one another, which is given in the question. This is a key step towards answering your parajumble. Then comes your rule out the options. If you get a pair, see which of the options would fit for your arrangement and rule out the other options. This is the easiest technique to solve your parajumble. Now, getting into your first question, which is a sentence based parajumble, it is easier when compared to a paragraph. So let's deal with this. Your first question says, the power and pride for your statement P, for in the courage of Sparta was above all discipline and skill of these troops in its army. It found its security and its deal. Now, as I told you earlier, this is an anchor parajumble where your first one and sixth one are fixed. Intermediate 4 statements are what you're going to arrange. Now, the power and pride is the starting of the statement, right? Now, that is just a subject, right? Subject of something. Now, that is what you're going to find. So, power and pride is just a characteristic of something. Find what that something is. When you happen to read all the statements, you come to an understanding that it is power and pride of Sparta is the continuation of the statement, right? In that way, looking at the options, the only option that start with statement Q is your option C. So undoubtedly, that is going to be your answer. As simple as that. Hope you got it. Getting to the next question. Here, as I mentioned you, there are few approaches to handle parajumbles. Here comes your first approach, which is the full form or short form approach. Let's deal it with an example. Now, read the statements, pause the video for a while, and then try guessing an answer, and then come back to check whether your answer was right. Well, now reading the statements, your statement A says, the experiential learning at South Africa paved him the way to fight for his own nation. Decades ago, in the coastal land of Gujarat, was born the epic anti-colonial nationalist Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. The law professional was welcomed at South Africa, where he not just learned but practiced civil rights. Born in a Hindu family, M.K. Gandhi was civilized and also was trained in law at London. Well, now if you happen to observe these statements very carefully, you come to an understanding that in your statement B, the name of Gandhi is completely mentioned. That is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Yeah, the full name of Gandhi is completely mentioned. Whereas when you happen to see your statement D, it is mentioned as MK Gandhi, which is a short form, right? See, always remember the first technique, that is only when you use something for the first time, you mention it with the full form. When you happen to use it again and again, you try to go for the short forms, right? This is a basic of communication. So this becomes your first approach. Always the statement that has the full form is going to be your first part of your answer, right? So here statement B is going to be the first sentence. In that case, looking at the options, the only statement that has B as its first sentence is your option B. So undoubtedly, that is your answer. Here we are done with the first approach. Got it? Moving to the second approach. Gandhi believed free India does not lie only in chasing the English, but also in firing the superstitious beliefs that the own country had. In 1921, Gandhi assumed the leadership of the Indian National Congress that initially focused on easing poverty, expanding women's rights, etc. Thus, through the establishment of the same party, Gandhi became the ultimate icon for free India. The ultimate motto of INC was to have a free India. Now, if you can, try pausing the video for some 2-3 seconds, look at the options, get an answer, and then come back to check if your answer was right. Now, just look at statement C. It starts with thus. Usually when will we use all these words? It acts as a concluding statement, right? So that statement says, thus through the establishment of the same party, Gandhi became the ultimate icon for free India. And this statement is also acting as a reason or acting as a solution for the question, how did Gandhi become the ultimate icon for free India? And the other three statements also talk about the same concept. That is, it talks about how did Gandhi enter politics, how did Gandhi enter into INC and all those. So obviously you can assume that statement C is going to be your final sentence. So in that way, option C is your answer because that is the only option that ends with statement C. Hope you got it. This is your third approach, and look at the sentences. Tigers have been known to eat up to 60 pounds of meat in one night, but more often they consume about 12 pounds during a meal. It may take days for a tiger to finish eating its kill. The cat eats until it's full and then covers the carcass with leaves and dirt. When it's hungry again, the tiger comes back to feed some more until the meat is gone. Now closely observe the sentences. Only in your statement A, you have the word tigers, whereas in your statement B and C, we have used only the pronoun. Just by a basic understanding of grammar rule, initially we use a noun, post which we will be pointing to the noun by the usage of a pronoun, right? In that case, the statement that has a noun is going to be a first statement. So undoubtedly your answer is option A, B, C. And this becomes your third approach, noun pronoun approach. As the name tells you, the statement that has the noun is going to be your first part. Your fourth approach is an article approach, and the question is, unable to take eyes of the group, the spotlight of Ram's eye fell on a beautiful girl in the group. In the woods was a group of cheerful women dancing to the clap of their own hands that combined with the wavy wind of large trees. The girl's chimes of laughter as she danced sounded music to his ears that he was completely glued at the first glimpse. Now, look at these statements C that says the girl's chimes of laughter. See, the girl's chimes of laughter. If you could remember our session on sentence correction, that is the difference between a and the. The usually refers to a particular or a specific noun, whereas a refers to a generic noun. That is why we say the to be a definite article and a to be an indefinite article, right? So in that case, the girl's chimps of laughter is mentioned in your statement C, which means the description of the same girl should have been mentioned either in your statement A or B. If you closely observe, you will identify that in your statement A, you have the sentence, unable to take eyes of the group, the spotlight of Ram's eye fell on a beautiful girl in the group. Got it? So I can say A and C make a pair. But A and C pair is present both in your option B as well as in your option D. Now which one should I use? Now I can easily come to a conclusion that A and C are ruled out, but I am left with option B and D. Now both the options has to play with statement B, right? It talks about woods and a group of group of women dancing. In your statement A, it is already mentioned about the group, which means the description of the group should have already been mentioned before that. So A is going to come after B. In that case, your answer is going to be statement B as your first, A as your second, and C as your third. So your answer is option B. Got it? Here we go to your fifth approach. Once the tumor cells are completely cut off, drugs are inserted to keep the patient in the remission state. After the patient succeeds with the non-growth of cancer cells, the maintenance of the same is done in the process of chemotherapy. Chemo drugs travel through the bloodstream systematically at various stages. Even before the control of growth of tumor cells starts, the patient is initially given drugs to destroy the leftover tumor cells after the surgery. Now, if you closely observe the options, you can understand that your first statement is either going to be C or D, because all the four options has either started with C or started with D. So read your statement C, which says chemo drugs travel through the bloodstream systematically at various stages. It's an explicit or a very generic statement that says the entire passage is going to talk about chemo drugs. Hold on with that. Come to option D. Ever before the control of growth of tumor cells starts, the patient is initially given drugs to destroy the leftover tumor cells after the surgery. Now this statement, upon reading, is giving you an idea about the process that is done in a chemotherapy, but it is not telling you the exact information. That it doesn't act to be a opening statement, right? In that case, I'm ruling out the assumption that statement D is my opening statement. So I am left with option C and D. Interestingly, both your option C and D have their second statement as D. Right? Now my only challenge is to find my third statement. That is whether my third statement is going to be A or going to be B. Now read the first two C and D statements together. Chemo drugs travel through the bloodstream systematically at various stages. Ever before the control of growth of tumor cells starts, the patient is initially given drugs to destroy the leftover tumor cells after the surgery. Now go back to your statement A. Once the tumor cells are cut off completely, drugs are inserted to keep the patient in the remission state. And your statement B, after the patient succeeds with the non-growth of cancer cells. Now this is sufficient for us to answer. In your statement D, it is clearly mentioned before the control of growth of tumor cells starts, and the next process of that is cutting off the tumor cells completely. So that is going to be statement A. So I can have a link between statement D and A consecutively, and as I told you, C and D is the initial pair post which I should get my A statement. In that case, option C is going to be your answer. Hope you got it. Your next approach, read the sentences. This is quite simple question, so pause the video, look at the questions and the options, guess the answer, and then come back for this. Your statement A says, and dropped out after the first year. B. Deep down, I knew that what I really wanted to do was to write stories. C. When I was growing up in Nigeria, I was expected, as every student who did well was expected, to become a doctor. But I did what I was supposed to do and I went into medical school. Now, the key words in this question is the conjunctions. That is, statement A has got the word and statement D has got the word but. And is a conjunction that connects to positive statements and but is a conjunction that connects to negative statements. Now look at statement A. And dropped out after the first year. Now can you find a sentence that is getting connected easily? If so, that is supposedly statement D, which again starts with a conjunction but I did what I was supposed to do. So this is a negative kind of approach, that is, it is a contradictory kind of approach. So I have to find a corresponding statement for statement D. In that case, look at your statement B, where it says, deep down I knew that what I really wanted to do was to write stories, but I did what I was supposed to do. I dreamt of something to be done, but I'm doing a different thing. Yeah. Now, isn't it a contradicting statement? So in that case, my B and D makes a pair. So post D, I should get my A. In that case, my answer is going to be C, B, D, A. Hope you got it. Moving to the next approach. One way to save money is to replace incandescent lights with fluorescents. There are measures that can be taken to cut down the irregular costs. Energy saving is perhaps being the biggest problem for most of the residents. This replacement can result in a savings of more than 50% on your monthly lighting costs. Now, just by looking at the sentences, I can pair my statement A and D. That is, one way to save money is to replace incandescent lights with fluorescents, which can result in savings of more than 50% on your monthly lighting costs. So this is a cause and effect statement. So I'm making A and D as a pair. Now the only statement that has A and D pair is your option D. So obviously that is going to be your answer. You got it? Now that brings us to the recap session, where let's recall all the approaches that we have went through in the session. The first one was an acronym, full form, short form pair, that tells you only in the beginning of a passage we use the full form of something. If not, we are going to use only the acronym, that is a short form. For example, United States of America is used only in the first statement, whereas in the other statements we call it to be USA and nothing more than that. Your second one is your first last statement approach. Just by having concluding statements or opening statements, we come to options to look for the answer. Then comes your noun pronoun approach. Only in the beginning we use a noun, post which we will point to the noun using a pronoun. This becomes your third approach in handling parajumbles. Your fourth one is article approach, that differentiates between the definite and indefinite article. Then comes your chronological or sequential approach. If this kind of approach is to be made easy, then you might be given with years like 1947, 1984, 2000 and 2010, where just by getting the concept of the passage, you can arrange it either in an ascending way or in a descending way. Then comes your sequential approach, which can be conjunction based or cause and effect based. The sequential approach is like, connecting sentences or parts of sentences in a logical way. These are few techniques or approaches to handle a parajumble question. Apart from this, you may expect a question answer approach, like the question answer may begin with why, how, when or where kind of words, for which the answer can remain in any of the other 3 or 5 statements. The other one can be conclusion approach. When you have words like thus, therefore, hence, finally, you can come to a conclusion that these kind of statements will usually be the concluding statements. Hope you got it. Now this brings us to the end of the session. I do hope you enjoyed it. So if you have learned something new, please do like, comment and share this video to your friends. Thank you for watching the video. Stay connected with CareerDeed Training Solutions.